Hey everybody. Um, it is Wednesday, April 15th. It's Coach Thompson here coming at you from my kitchen again. Um, Hope you guys are doing good. Hope you're having a good day. I just want to take this time to say, guys, that when I say that I hope y'all are doing good and that you're having a good day, I am sincere in that. I really do care about you guys. Um, Although it may not always seem that way, I do. Otherwise, I wouldn't be working there. So just wanted you guys to know that. I do care about y'all. I miss you, and I am ready to get back and be able to work with y'all every day. So that being said, let's review what we talked about on Monday. Monday, we talked about the application process and some tips on filling out job applications. Just a couple of tips that we talked about. Make sure you have all your info ready when you start filling out the application. Don't rush through it. Make it look nice and neat. Make sure you fill out all the sections on the application. Don't leave anything blank. Make sure you have your list of 3 to 4 references ready to go. Don't provide any false info or exaggerate your qualifications, because I said that that will get you caught up, because they're going to check up on that. Avoid spelling or grammatical errors, and make sure you don't list an unprofessional email address. All right, so today we're going to move into the actual job interview. So at this point, you have gotten a good resume, you have completed the job application, and the employer has called you in for an interview. So a job interview, some of you may have been on one before, some of you may have not. A job interview is just a conversation between you, yourself, the applicant, and the employer. Most of the time, it's just going to be you and one other person. There are certain circumstances when interviews consist of more than that, when there might be a panel of people interviewing you, 3 to 4 people. I've never been in an interview like that. I can imagine it would probably be a little bit intimidating. But it's not something that should scare you away from applying for a job. So we're going to talk about some what to expect in an interview, types of questions, some interview tips, and just kind of how to work your way through the interview process. So let's start out with the types of questions to expect in an interview. First type of question is going to be verification questions. So these questions are just going to be, the interviewer is going to ask you just to verify info about yourself. And they're probably already going to know the answers to these questions because they've already seen it on your resume and your application. So it's just going to be basic personal info, education, job experience, stuff like that. Next type of question is going to be competency and behavioral questions. And these are just going to be questions that they ask you to see how you're going to behave, basically. An example of one of these types of questions would be, can you describe a tough challenge that you have faced and how did you handle it? So they're just trying to find out a little bit more about you. And the third type of question is going to be a situational question. The interviewer is going to give you a hypothetical situation, and they're going to want to know how you would handle that situation. So a good example of that would be, what would you do if 2 of your coworkers had a conflict that was affecting your job productivity or your ability to do your job? What would you do in that situation? They just want to see how you're going to react to certain situations. All right, so after they get through asking you all the questions, they're going to give you a chance to ask them a question. This is a good opportunity for you to question them about the company if you want to know anything more about the company or the position you're applying for. So it's good to have at least one question ready to go and ready to ask them. All right, some tips for interviews. Know yourself, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and know your biggest achievements, because they're going to ask that. Um, they're going to ask you what's your biggest strength or what's your biggest weakness. So have something ready to go for that, and be honest in it. Don't lie about it. Um, Make sure you conduct practice interviews. Find a list of common interview questions and have a friend, a family member, interview you, ask you the questions, and you practice the interview. And we're going to do this actually in class, so get ready for that. Make sure you dress appropriately. Y'all know what appropriate dress looks like. Make it look nice. Make sure you don't walk in there with your cell phone turned on. Make sure you turn your cell phone off. I can imagine that's probably very aggravating to an employer if the person they're interviewing cell phone starts ringing during the middle of the interview. So make sure you turn it off. Make sure you have good body language. Don't slouch down in your chair. Make sure you sit up straight. Make it look like you're happy to be there. Give the interviewer a firm handshake. Look them in the eye when you're talking. And like I said, make it look like you're happy to be there, and be confident. Don't. It's inevitable that you're going to be nervous, of course, but try to have some confidence about yourself. That was a lot of tips on job interviews. Like I said, I'm working on kind of a project to where we're going to go through this whole process, and you guys will actually be conducting mock interviews with members of your group. So I'm working on that, and I think it's going to be next week or the week after that we'll actually get onto that. But until then, let's keep working on the worksheets that you've been given for my class, and I will talk to you all on Friday. Bye, guys.